Anne Hathaway's love interest for The Devil Wears Prada 2 was unveiled for the first time as she filmed a romantic scene in New York City on Tuesday. The 42-year-old actress, who is in the midst of shooting the anticipated sequel, is reprising her role as Andy Sachs in the project, which is set to hit theaters next year in May 2026. Anne was seen cozying up with her new co-star Patrick Brammall in a lighthearted date night scene in the streets of Brooklyn. In the 2006 movie, Adrian Grenier had played her character's boyfriend Nate, but the actor is notably not returning to the second movie. The actress was glammed up for the evening scene, wearing a sleeveless blue dress that was made of a shimmering material. She slipped into a pair of open-toed blue pumps and easily carried a small silver purse in her hand. Anne's long dark locks were parted in the middle and effortlessly flowed down past her shoulders in elegant waves. A pink blush was added to her cheekbones, while a blue shadow was worn around her eyes to coincide with the color scheme of her outfit. The star opted for a rosy pink tint to her lips and chose to not add flashy pieces of jewelry to the look. Patrick, who is known for his roles in shows such as Colin from Accounts, was also dapper in a dark navy suit. He additionally sported a light blue button-up underneath and donned a pair of black dress shoes. Anne and Patrick were spotted filming a few sweet moments as they strolled through the crowded streets of Brooklyn as the sun set in the distance. At one point, the actor placed his arms around the beauty as they fell into an embrace while standing outside of a restaurant. The Princess Diaries star also flashed a big smile on her face as Patrick twirled her around in circles. In another romantic moment, Anne was seen gripping onto a silver pillar attached to a corner building before running into Patrick's arms. The co-stars later strolled arm in arm down a sidewalk in Brooklyn as they held a conversation. Last month in July, it was first reported that Patrick has been cast to portray Anne's love interest in the sequel, per Entertainment Weekly. A source informed the outlet that his character will be vying for her attention during the course of the movie. Adrian Grenier had played Anne's boyfriend named Nate in the first film 20 years earlier, and has since divided fans, with some labeling him as an unsupportive boyfriend over her journalism career. The Entourage actor previously discussed his role in the first movie while talking to Entertainment Weekly in 2021. "I didn't see some of the subtleties and the nuance of this character and what it represented in the film until the wisdom of the masses came online and started to push against the character and throw him under the bus, and I got flack. All those memes that came out were shocking to me," he added, referencing to how fans had called Nate the villain of the film. "It hadn't occurred to me until I started to really think about it, and perhaps it was because I was as immature as Nate was at the time. And in many ways, he's very selfish and self-involved." Adrian continued, "It was all about him. He wasn't extending himself to support Andy in her career." Production for the sequel began in July in NYC, with Meryl Streep also stepping back into the shoes of her character, Miranda Priestley. Other stars that are reprising their roles in the second movie include Emily Blunt and Stanley Tucci. Simone Ashley, Lucy Liu, Pauline Chalamet, Kenneth Branagh, Tracy Thomas, B.J. Novak, and Justin Theroux are other cast members in the project. David Frankel, who directed the first 2006 movie, is returning as director on the sequel as well. The premise follows Miranda Priestley's struggle against Emily Charlton, her former assistant turned rival executive, as they compete for advertising revenue amidst declining print media while Miranda nears retirement, per IMDb. By the time the sequel hits theaters next year in May 2026, it would be 20 years after the first movie was released. The Devil Wears Prada was a critical success and raked in $326.7 million in the box office on a budget of around $35 to $41 million. It also garnered 2 Oscar nominations, such as Best Actress for Meryl Streep. Other nods included 5 BAFTAs and 3 Golden Globes, with Meryl winning for Best Actress in a motion picture musical or comedy. During an interview with WWD, Anne, who is also set to star in The Princess Diaries 3, opened up about reprising previous roles. "I was so beautifully cared for on both of those films," she recalled, while adding that she had been young when making both The Devil Wears Prada and The Princess Diaries. I was so guided and looked after and cared for by the communities that made both of those films in particular, each of their directors, Gary Marshall and David Frankel. She added, I'm so excited that now I can do that for other people, that now I have the knowledge and the experience and the confidence to take care of other people on sets in which I'm looked at as a leader. Anne and Meryl were recently seen reuniting on set of the sequel and were also joined by Stanley Tucci. The Idea of You actress was spotted running after both Meryl and Stanley as they jumped into an awaiting Mercedes. The streets of New York City buzzed with excitement and nostalgia as Anne Hathaway was spotted filming scenes for the highly anticipated sequel, Devil Wears Prada 2. But the real shock came when cameras captured the very first glimpse of her new on-screen love interest. The moment sent waves across fan communities, news outlets, and fashion circles alike. And now the mystery surrounding the plot, the cast, and the much-awaited return of one of the most iconic fashion films of all time is beginning to unravel.